Well, July's topic was about reclaiming your power. And for me, that word power has always been a little bit of a rub for me. I don't know, has that been for anybody else? I think it just has to do with all of the imprinting that we've received over time where power meant force or abuse of some sort. Control, that's the first word that comes up to me in my system when I think of the word power. So as I was reflecting on it, I was thinking, really, what is the one thing that we have that allows us to do anything that we really want? What do you think that is? What? Free will, exactly. And free will is really a gift that we've been given to be able to place our energy and our attention on whatever we want, right? Doesn't always mean that we're going to immediately get what we want, that kind of thing. But our free will allows us to take our energy, and it's almost like how in medical services they have a laser that they direct the beam, and with that beam they can do a lot of things, right? So when I think of power, I think of how our free will can get behind whatever we place our attention on. And so then we're setting our energy in motion for whatever our attention is on. Like you could put it on that, right? And so it's a powerful thing to think that we have free will to then put our attention on choices. And so choices, to me, it's a huge freedom that we have, isn't it? So we have the freedom to choose what we're putting our attention on, where we lend our energy. And so to me, it's so powerful to take a look at some of the things that we do. So some of these things don't seem like big things at the face of them when you look at them, but the idea to decide or to choose to wait about something in a culture that's moving really fast. So that's a huge freedom that we have, isn't it? And sometimes people, when they ask me a question and I have a pause, they'll be looking at me like, come on, or they send me a text and they want that immediate response. And it's like, for me, I don't want to respond to pressure. I want to respond to inspiration. I want to respond to what comes through me about something. So when somebody asks me a question and there might be a pause, it's a real pregnant pause where it's building something and something is coming either into me to transmit or I'm receiving something from that core health to then offer. But it's always going to be with a little bit of a delay because I'm waiting for something rather than thinking up something. So that's a really nice difference for me, is that to allow myself that choice to wait for just a second. Because the power of a pause can just be so incredible. And, to wander. How many people in this community, conscious community, you have kind of given yourself permission to wander, haven't you? Where some places, nope, it's stay within that structure, And in here, it's like, no, push beyond the structure, get a sense of what feels right to you, fall into that frequency so that you get more of what feels right to you. So wandering is not such a terrible thing. There's a woman who's a musician, her name is Janice Stanfield. Has anybody heard of her? I would hear her when I went out to the Science and Consciousness conferences, and she has a song, which I just love, that says, "I'm not lost, I'm just exploring." Because you can imagine when you were wandering to other people, sometimes it looks like we don't have our act together, or we're just not fitting in, we're not conforming. But that ability to choose to just move about, follow the feeling of where you're being drawn, where you're being called to. It's a very powerful thing. And then just to observe. Look at all the things that we get to place our attention on. I watched a movie recently where it had to do with prisons, and I thought, wow, the observation you could have there would be one that you would want to go inside to observe, into your core to see what's waiting for you to reflect on, because the exterior observation might not be so pleasant, huh? So we have that ability to go and look out, and here near Lake Harriet, and when you see your family, it's like being able to observe the light, in each person, or you could put your attention on the density, huh? So we get that choice to observe what we want to see. Placing that attention. I love the idea of to be able to question, to be able to ask, like, well, that's interesting. I wonder what's driving that. To look for understanding versus trying to cause somebody to admit to something or to asking a question. I remember being in school and getting questions where the educator may be asking it in a way because they only wanted to hear back what they said. But instead to really ask a question, to choose to ask people something about themselves. What's the gift that you bring? Powerful question, isn't it? What is it that you're here to offer? Where are you placing your light? Where are you shining for other people? Or is it this lifetime is meant to be more for you? It's not a problem. But it's that part of asking those questions. And then we just, to have all these experiences. We really, when you hear many, many speakers talk about the unseen world, and they talk about how we really wanted to have experiences when we came here. We wanted to co-create and push and create what is already beyond what's already been created. And we wanted to feel. Get that one, huh? It's the one when you're not feeling so good, you're always saying like, oh my God, I really wanted to feel. But yeah, we did. We wanted to have the full experience, I always say of the good, the bad, and the ugly. We wanted that to have expansion. So lucky us, huh? But it may not always feel so lucky, but it really is a gift. And it's a power that we get to have, is to keep having experiences. It's so beautiful when you watch children, is, they just want to, immediately they want to roll, and then they want to crawl, and then they want to walk, and then they want to cut their food, and they just are constantly in that place of expansion. So we came here with that power for that expansion. To be different. I think that's a huge one. I've got a great picture here. Isn't that great? So it's like here, in this community, it's like you get to be different but still get to be with people, right? There's nobody kind of casting you out for the way that you are. And so I just love this. And to release the past. How many of you have experienced tremendous power when you've been willing or able to release something from the past? Isn't it great? Yeah. I had that even when I was coming here today, because the last time I spoke here, I came out and in the parking lot, I walked out to my car and my car had been hit. And I was like, wow, and I couldn't believe it. And so then this morning when I got up, all of a sudden my brain thought it was helping me, and it started offering me the past again. Where are you going to park? Make sure you don't park by somebody who's going to hit you. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I went down that thought stream, then my attention and my energy is getting lent towards something that's old and calling in something that's of a lower frequency than I wanted to be in. So I just decided to have a little bit of amnesia And I went on about my day. So that ability, so in even the smallest things is to be able to let go of that. That's a huge privilege that we have, is to be able to release that past. Another is to agree or disagree. That seems small, but it's a big one. It's the rub. Whenever I'm working with individuals and families, it's this rub that everybody has, like we should all be agreeing. We should all be on the same page all the time. And, because we're all different people, bringing in all different energy signatures, I would say, in the energetic terms, it's like we're going to have a feeling of a rub or a vibration on our field when we're not always in alignment with what everybody's talking about. But to be able to say inside of you is like, that's okay. I can disagree and still love that person. And I can agree and not lose anything. Because sometimes people don't want to agree, well, I've been the one to cave the last 3 times. It's like, in reality, to agree doesn't take anything from you sometimes. So I love when I work with adolescents, when they even actually agree with their parents, but they're just not willing to do it, even if it's a good idea. Have you guys seen that? Have you been that way? Yeah, that part about just not willing to, because it would feel like they get to win, And so I just love that, instead if we just give ourselves that flexibility, that choice to do these different things, or to just remain neutral, just to hold a nice feeling for people, not be engaged in this or that. I was talking with somebody the other day, and it was, of course, like a triangle, sister, sister, mother. And it was like, there was somebody that had to get in, because these two agreed with each other. And it's just like, no. And then somebody had to do something, and this person said to me, the third person just said, I just want to be here. That's all I want to do is just be. And I said, wonderful. It's a privilege that you have. And sometimes to hold a nice feeling in a place of conflict or chaos, that's a real power. What other things do you think are powerful? Anything? To give them or to receive? Both? Mm-hmm. To give and receive affirmations. Uh-huh. They're simple things, but they create a lot of freedoms. So I was walking around Lake Harriet 2 days ago with a friend of mine. And 2 dogs like these were walking behind us. And they were in that competitive dog thing, like one shouldn't be a little bit ahead of the other. So they're like trying really hard. And the owner has them on the leash trying to pull them back because they're like right on our ankles. And so they're just like, and we were like trying to have this conversation, and they were like grunting and gasping and choking and we were walking, and I'm really trying to listen to what my friend was talking about. And so I just pulled on her a little bit, and I pulled her to the side, and I said, let's just let those dogs go by. And she's like, oh, thank you. She said, I was sitting there trying to be more spiritual, trying to be okay with letting go of the noise. And I'm trying to just tell myself I should be bigger than this. I should be able to really tune in and listen. And I said, why? Why not just like have that choice to take a step aside? And they just went on, and then we resumed, and it was just the nicest feeling. And so it was one of those things that was just such demonstrating our habit of how we can get hooked on something, and then we don't let it go, or we don't move it, or shift out of something. And then you make your own self miserable because you've only just forgotten that you have this choice, right? And it's so simple, yet when we're in our little personal mind, it doesn't often open to the possibilities. It's like through the discomfort that you get to feel, that's that feedback that gets to tell us, like, well, maybe I ought to use my choice here. So a question I often ask myself whenever something has discord for me is I'll ask myself that question, will I really lend my energy to this? Do I really want to lend my energy to this? And a lot of times it's like, no. And all I have to do is kind of think about pulling that energy back. So it's like that filament goes out, and if it's going out to something and attaching to something that I'm not really in favor of, then my energy is being lent to that. My spirit, my power. And so it's just so simple to just be able to ask that question, am I willing to lend my energy to this? And then no, then I visualize that cord just coming right back to me, and then my energy is fueling me, not the things I have discord with. So it's a very simple thing to help us shift and to know we have that question. Or a lot of times I'll think of that, am I willing to finance this thought? Because it will cost me. If I place my power behind something that really isn't making me feel good and I'm getting on my thought system, then I'm financing that thought with my energy, maybe with my health. And so that simple question, our free will to say, am I willing to do that? Do I want to do that? A lot of times it's no, not so much, huh? And it's like when you're in that really beautiful, tranquil place, is like, are you willing to lose your peace of mind over something? So how many people have lost your peace of mind over the weather recently? Honestly, yeah. And so that was, when I came in today and it felt so warm in here, I was like, wow, I got to be really careful not to lend my energy to how hot it is in here. And when the storms were happening and everything, it was like just not placing my attention on what if this happens. It's like, no, not willing to lose my peace of mind over it. And as I take that back, then I'm in a nicer feeling, and then chances of not manifesting what I don't want is a lot higher, isn't it? So it's that power that we have in those questions. So I love this, it's one from Buddha, but that everything reflects our minds. And so if we change our mind, we change what we see, don't we? Because it's an internal process. Just seeing something a little different when you're able to fall into your alignment of your spirit. It's like in that alignment, then even something that looks like chaos out here can look totally different to us. It's that part of saying, I know this is in my life for some reason. How is this in service to me is the greatest question, again, versus being upset about something. So how do I want to expand with this? And so it's like as we change our internal, thought system, what we're plugging into, it's like then whatever is experienced out here is going to be a different experience of it inside. And I know you guys already know this. Inspiration comes to us and quietly prime it with solitude. Very hard. You're a conscious community, but very hard to be quiet sometimes when everything else is kicked up. But it's like craving that solitude, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be alone, but it's that part being alone in your head, not having your system be a party line, like your sister's thoughts, your mom's thoughts, so you work with thoughts, the co-worker's thoughts, it's like, no party line, just come into your own, and in that place, there'll be some solitude, and then you start hearing more, and you hear it more from a deeper place. Rumi is one of my very favorite poets, but you have no need to travel anywhere, journey within yourself. Enter a mine of rubies and bathe in the splendor of your own light. What I like about this is the image, because this image is really what our interior is like. So when you think of what your power is like, it's really just, there's so much. And I like to think of power, like if I'm going to bring my energy to something, and let's say I need to lend quite a bit of energy because the level of a family that I might be working with is kind of low, is like I'm going to try to amp up. And I just know that all we have to do is ask for it. Because the power to decide to place our attention on that which is inside of us to amp up versus try to think up what we're going to say is so totally different. And so it's like going inside and seeing if you can't amp up your frequency, call upon your spirit to get bigger and brighter so that you can lend that to the space or the people that you're with is a really beautiful thing. You're not a drop in the ocean, you're the entire ocean in a drop. Isn't that a great picture? Yeah. And so in that's really such a great, I think it depicts really what we are, is like we're somewhat form, but we don't want to be fooled by our form because we're that energy that is in total connection with the cosmos or spirit or God, whatever you want to say. And so it's like this picture really looks at that, and if we could see it, if we can imagine it, that's why I love to see pictures. If you have a visual for it, then you have more for your brain to work with to then use your brain in the 3D physical reality to create more of the formless connection. Does that make sense? So a lot of times, what we need to do is unlearn some of our beliefs. We have to let go of some of the beliefs that we've created. So what are some of the beliefs that you think get in the way of us having, joy or the lives that we want? Okay. Yeah. If I do this, I'll get judged. I might want to wave goodbye to that belief. But it is strong. All of those are strong, aren't they? Yeah. Or the beliefs of everything takes effort. Isn't that a simple belief? But boy, can it create a different feeling in your system to think that everything you have to do takes a lot of effort. It's like, is that the truth? No. That you have to earn worthiness? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Like you don't come in beautiful. I was working with a family the other day, and one of the people in the family is having a baby, and a young woman and her newly married person, and some of the family don't necessarily like the situation. And so they're kind of bringing up the past about things. And I said, wow. I said, now, if you had a little bit of amnesia, you would be able to see this as this opportunity to bring and escort this little soul onto the planet. And I just got an email last week saying that, oh my gosh, everybody had amnesia. And it couldn't have been a better situation. The birth was at home, and that she knew that this new little soul was obviously coming in with a lot of power. So yeah, we don't have to earn it. We come in uncontaminated mental health. So it's like, yeah, the limiting beliefs. So how about the belief that we're just physical? I think here everybody knows that we are more than physical, and that we want to release this belief of duality, right? So I like to look like this is a picture that is really good about that. Is like you've seen how really the connection to source and light is all there really is, our true self coming into us, and then we're just walking around in these little earth suits, having an experience. And so it's like we really want to get past that belief that we're separate from the divine and separate from each other. and that we are only one dimension, because we are so much more. So one of the main things of our life lessons here is really that part about getting beyond that belief, isn't it? That's what the whole movement is at this time in metaphysics or ascension or most cultures, is really to not be fooled by this, to know ourselves in that deeper, richer way. So I think this is a great set of pictures. This is like our mind isn't just in our head. It really is, our brain is like that it's a transistor, to connect with different frequencies. We have the polarity, and that we're really not like negative or positive. Sometimes when people say, I'm a positive person, I'm like, oh, you're so much more than that even, Even though that sounds like a good thing, it's like you are more than that. You are light, your energy, your spirit. I just saw Patricia Diane Cody, blah, blah, blah. She has a hyphenated name, but she was just in town a couple weeks ago. Did anybody go? I think I saw Lee from this community there. And she does a lot of sharing with people that we really need during this time to come into the I am presence. Knowing ourselves as the I amness. And so it's powerful to be able to daily, or when you go to bed at night or when you get up in the morning, is to claim that part of you, is to stand in that and be able to say, I am my I am presence. But that's just very powerful. It imprints your system on an energetic level. And then she, along with many other people, when I studied with Christine Page or have spent time with other indigenous communities or cultures, is that part about, to use a purple flame or a violet flame, to use it in a way to take our I am presence and put it behind and with the flame to transmute things, to change things. And so let's say you have some of those beliefs, like there's a belief of lack, like there isn't enough for everybody or something like that, is that you could take your attention and say, I am my I am presence, and I invoke the purple flame to burn through that belief of mine. Isn't that nice? So, first thing you might want to do is invite the purple flame. Many cultures believe that purple flame or that violet flame or the violet ray has been a part of this time on earth for us to use something from the formless to be able to change form. And so I think the best forms to change are beliefs which don't even feel form, right? A belief, you can't grab it, but you sure can see it when it's in operation with somebody, huh? But we can use this flame or this ray to transform it, transmute it, transcend it. Any word that you like. And so it's a really nice invitation is to take that in and decide, what do you want to no longer have? What is a belief that's getting in the way, that's limiting your sense of power, your sense of energy, your sense of spirit? So it's I am my I am presence, and I invoke the purple flame. I use this, I have an 8-year-old in a hospital out east right now, a client, and she's got a real unusual infection. And so I was teaching this to her mom the other night, and I said, I want you to look for any purple clothing that you can right now, and I want you to bring that to her, and then I want you to remind her that she's more than this illness. And this mother is also in the medical field. And I said, and so you also, what you know is really helpful, but now you need to go beyond what you know and start working with the energy. And I said, so bring this in and start talking to her, and you need to remember that she's way more than this infection that everybody is very concerned about. And so after I had her work with this, she called me back and said that the little girl sat up for the first time in days and was able to transfer herself a little bit to sit up and put on her own clothes that day. And it may still be some time, but it's that part of who am I really, that little shift for her to see that we're so much more than that physical body. So what are some of the beliefs that you want to, get rid of? What gets in the way of you experiencing you and your power? It's to take that energy and put it behind that to burn through it. So these are some of the things that I hear a lot, is just that, that's not real. And so then we have a cultural belief that what's visible is the only thing that's real, right? It's like, not so much. Something takes a long time. It takes a long time to build up to this. It takes a long time to, and as long as we hold that belief, then things take a long time, right? So burning through those simple beliefs. So I think what we'll do is a short meditation, and if you can kind of take a peek at this first and think about, this is really such another great picture of the way it is. It's like we have this body, but we're hooked up to so much more. And so if we can expand ourselves beyond the physical, connecting with our higher and true self, that then we walk in our power. So that's who you really are. So repeat after me. I am free. Yeah, so I have the freedom to place my attention on whatever it is I want. So let's do a meditation around that, if you would. I'm going to sit down, sorry. You see me over there, Dan? All right. Gary, do you have any music? Thanks. Okay. Is the mic? Can you turn the mic up a little? Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, so let's just take a deep breath. And release it. Turn the music down just a hair. Thanks. Now, expanding that breath in your chest. Letting your chest expand and feeling when the air hits your rib cage. And imagine that as it hits that rib cage, it presses all kinds of little buttons that are inside of there. That in that deep breath, those buttons turn on all systems. Imagine as it turns on, what colors light up inside of you? What colors and frequencies do you bring today? Allow those colors to move down your body, down your shoulders and into your wrists, into your fingers, and expand beyond your fingers. And with your palms up, imagine that vapor coming off of your palms, like the picture I showed you. And what colors are you bringing to your life today? Imagine that those vapors and those frequencies are filling up your field. And imagine, along with those, have all kinds of different scents, aromas, subtle or strong, that are with you today. Imagine as you breathe those in, it's like you're recirculating those higher frequencies and imprinting your system to the formlessness of the air and the vapors and the colors back into the form of who you are. And now imagine sending some of that all down your legs, into your knees, where it's going to swirl around and provide the relief that your joints have to endure while being in this earth form. Bring that relief into that area. And then let those colors or the light slide down into your ankles and into your feet and your toes, with the gratitude for being able to walk on this planet. Imagine with each footprint, in each step that you leave, you can leave a beautiful particle of light and energy that is needed for the planet, which is a part of why you were here and why you came during this time, is to walk and imprint the planet with your light. And as you walk in that light, know that you have power and purpose. You have something to offer and much to receive. And imagine that as you step, it's like setting a charge back up through your system, activating the opportunities for you to create. Now envisioning yourself as all kinds of light particles protecting and nurturing you, nourishing you in light, that this is your true self. There's just a slight boundary between the form and the formlessness of you. And imagine it being like a screen where if you want to, you open your window and you can either let some air out or bring some air in. And in that air is the light and the colors, the minerals and the frequencies and the waves with the divine intelligence running through them. And imagine when you know yourself as that that the brain can then take a little rest. And the volume can be turned down, for you know that you're going to receive and give all through your breath and through your steps in this lifetime. And see that as the garment that you're wearing. And that the brain is just going to be a nice accessory full of some programs that you can access if you want. And now imagine inviting in a purple ray or a purple flame. Choose which color feels good to you, and know it's a gift from the divine. That when you want, you can invoke this flame to burn through any limiting beliefs or limiting perceptions that you have in your lifetime. Imagine it as if it's like the flames that you often see, but accompanying some spiritual portraits and pictures, so that we can call that in to help us transcend difficult situations, challenging times. Imagine that that pilot light of the flame is burning all the time. And when you want to use it, you just need to turn up the frequency of it. And see the different colors moving around inside of you, within your beautiful field, out into the room here, imprinting and connecting with all people here. And in that breath, breathe it out into the community, out into your cities where you live, through the states, throughout the country, connecting with other countries, and offering that to those countries and places that we know are struggling right now. And take that energy, and to the degree you're comfortable, share it with the cosmos and the other universes. Take 3 breaths. Exhaling out beyond. Reaching all places that need beautiful frequencies in your divinity. Now with your inhalation, ask it to coat your field to the degree of thickness that feels comfortable for you. so that you're not experiencing everybody else's experiences out in the world. And when you're done, just imagine with each in-breath that you're taking your awareness and your consciousness and placing it back into your system in a way that feels orderly and comfortable. And as you tone down your expansion, imagine what volume, what frequencies you want to walk in, and set the channels to that. Some of you may want to be able to see more. Some may want to hear more. Some may want to feel more. Some may want to activate more. And some of you may want to reduce how much you're feeling and sensing. Just know that inside of you are the dials. And you can dial up or gently turn down. Feel yourself coming back into your physical body, the floor under your feet, the chair under your legs, the cushion on your back. And as you come back, slowly open your eyes.